What's going on, Dr. Cheryl Wood? How are you?
I'm fantastic on this beautiful day.
It's a great day.
Here. It's a great day, right?
It's hilarious. We start like we don't even know each other, right? And although I just saw you recently, I guess, and the other day, and I'm talking to you now. But I just want to get serious for a moment because one of the questions coming up. I know we have this Speak and Sell Bootcamp that's coming up, and some folks may already be over at speakandsellbootcamp.com. So if you're hearing about it for the first time and you haven't heard about it, just go over to speakandsellbootcamp.com. But Dr. Cheryl, one of the questions I'm getting is, you have a lot going on, and why now are you stopping and spending your time and energy to have a speak and sell boot camp to teach people not only how to speak, but how to get paid and have a speaking business when you don't have to do it? And that's really the question. You don't have to do this. Why is now the right time for you to do this? And who are you looking for to be there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. You and I both know that every human being has a story. They have some level of expert knowledge, whether it's acquired through schooling or some type of educational platform, or if it's acquired through what I call kind of on the job training, meaning you learned it through being in the thick of things. But every one of us has a story. We have some level of expert knowledge. We have life experiences. And those life experiences are not intended for us to hoard them and stack them up and keep it to ourselves. Those life experiences and that story and that knowledge that you've acquired, it's intended for you to share it with someone else who you can help overcome a pain or get a solution to a problem much quicker than you did. That's a part, I believe, of our human nature, is to want to help other people, to want to serve and elevate other people, and to help them get where we are quicker than we got there. So most of us want to be a part of something bigger. We want our lives to be bigger than ourselves, and we want to lift as we climb. And that's exactly what speaking does. It positions you as an expert to be able to teach people who are in pain, stuck in some type of pain, or have a certain desire that they want to fill. You get to help elevate them to that place of greater joy, happiness, fulfillment in their lives without them having to fall into some of the potholes that you've fallen into. So I think the question would simply be, why not you and why not now?
Yeah. I'm thinking because there's three things that come up. I guess they call them the three C's. Like some folks like, hey, they're listening right now, like, I'm trying to gain some clarity. Some folks are trying to gain the confidence. I will say that. And some folks are trying to gain the courage because let's just be honest. There's two types of folks, right? There's the one person that's saying, look, I've already invested in myself. I've invested in coaches. I've invested in programs. I've been to boot camps. And yet I'm looking for someone that can now help me get the clarity on my message and the stories that I should be telling. That's going to not only get me paid on stage, but get me paid in my business. Take a moment and talk to that person. Says, I think I know a lot of what you're going to be talking about. It's just not happening for me. What would you say to that person that's listening right now? And what I would say, if I can just give my 30 seconds in here, what I would say, if that's the case, then there's something missing, right? And the doorway to service is to be able to sell. And so once you can sell, you can now serve someone with the gifts, the talents, and the skills that you've either paid for, that you've either acquired, or that you already have. And so one of the things I like about partnering with Dr. Cheryl Wood at the Speak and Sell Bootcamp is that for those folks that are like, yeah, but I'm ready to serve, but I need clarity on my message because I got a bunch of things I can talk about. I need more confidence because, she looks so easy for her. She does it, but I need the confidence to even ask for the money or go on there. Or maybe it's just the courage to get up and do it again and again and again when it doesn't work. Dr. Cheryl, talk to that person out there. And if you're curious, just go over to speakandsellbootcamp.com. This is just, I want you to know where the details are because I'm just going to talk to Dr. Cheryl, but go to speakandsellbootcamp.com and you can read some of the further details. Over you, Dr. Wood. Talk to that person out there. They spent the money. They're like, not again, not again. Oh my gosh, not again.
Well, look, I mean, the reality is, I'm going to call it for what it is. If you're living and breathing, then you are not done learning. As long as you have life and breath in your body, then you have an opportunity to add value to other people, which means you have to continue expanding your own knowledge. Like, you're not done. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter what you've accomplished. It doesn't matter what you've already invested in. You should not be looking for a stopping point. There's no finish line, no cross. You're not going to cross a finish line as it relates to your knowledge. You always want to consistently pour into yourself so that you can pour that much more value into the people that you are called to serve. So I always look at it from a perspective of every investment that I've made in myself, the time, the energy, the effort, the finances, it's always worth it. Number one, because I'm great soil to sow seed into, because I know I'm going to execute on what I've learned. Number two, it makes me such a phenomenal coach for the people who I'm coaching to learn how to speak and share their voice, because now I have access to greater knowledge, to more resources, things that I otherwise wouldn't know if I hadn't consistently invested in myself and gained knowledge. So don't ever stop learning. That would be the first thing that I would say. And then, like you mentioned, those core 3 things that are critical if you're really going to be a speaker who is magnetic from the stage. Yeah, you've got to have clarity. You've got to have confidence. You've got to have courage. And it's not a matter of just wishing for it. It's not a matter of sitting behind your laptop and watching other people do it and hoping somehow through osmosis, you're infected with that. It's a matter of learning what are the techniques to be able to gain more clarity. What are the techniques to show up more confident as you're building your confidence? And what are the techniques and the strategies you can implement to be courageous enough to share the most vulnerable parts of yourself and your story so that you can elevate others? Those are techniques. Those are about strategies that you're going to learn and implement so that you can be the most impactful speaker every time you take a stage, whether it's a live stage in person, whether it's virtual, whether you're doing a webinar or even a Facebook Live. You are talking and speaking into someone who is listening and is hoping that they'll get some level of elevation based on what you're saying. So that requires you getting in the game, putting skin in the game. And that means you've got to show things that you don't already know, but you also have to be willing to execute the things that you learn. And more importantly, sometimes you got to hear things over again because you haven't executed it yet. So again, your learning experience is never done. It's just getting started. I wake up every day with that type of energy in my spirit. Like, okay, you're just getting started. And when you keep that type of energy, people feel that. And that resonates with people, that you're also implementing the very thing that you're encouraging them to do, which is to continue learning and growing.
Learning and growing. For those folks that are just maybe tuned in and just are watching right now, we're talking about Speak and Sell Bootcamp.com. Again, Speak and Sell, SELL, Bootcamp.com. And I want to make this statement. And then for those listening, because there's another group of folks out there, they're like, okay, she's speaking to the folks that have been to a number of different things. There's another group of folks out there that are like, whoa, I'm on the page now, Shay, and I'm looking and I see that one of the modules that'll be taught there, this is not just you come and you get motivated, you get inspired, we're going to go kumbaya, although you need that. That's important. That's very important. But there's some takeaways you have. And one of them is understanding having a signature talk that can be converting. And the word signature, I don't know what that even means. I'm going to ask Dr. Cheryl to break down, because you might be like me, and maybe you're new, maybe you're not new. You're like, I got 7 different stories, and I got a lot of different things that I can talk about. What is talk? Why I got to be nailed down to one? And why should I come to get one talk when I can talk about a lot of stuff? But I want to say this before she talks about that, because that's a very important module. It's module number 1. You have a signature talk and she'll be able to talk about that and share. But I want to say this to you, and I want you to hear it from my heart as much as you can. There's no other way to make money in your business other through sales. And so we got speak and sell, right? We got how to speak. Then we got understanding how to get paid on stages and off stages. And then we have how to get sales, because there's no other way to make money in the business than through selling, which is serving. Yeah, I know you might say, no, Shay, there is. I could go out and I can get a venture capitalist person to give me money. And that works. It's not my jam. Some people can get people to give them millions of dollars. They got something that doesn't even work. It doesn't even exist. If that's you, this is not for you. Don't come to Speak and Sell Bootcamp. It's not for you, because that may be another way. Other way I'm sure you got is you can leverage your credit cards. Look, I bet on myself. I went bankrupt, but I bet on myself. I doubled down, bet on myself, and went through my 401k. Topic for another time. Don't do what I did, and I still was losing. But you know what I was doing? I wasn't making any sales. I wasn't serving. I was borrowing against the house, And I think I still owe the house, by the way. But it is out there. Why do I tell you that? Because speak, yes, but we also want to make sure you have a business model. And Cheryl, Dr. Wood will talk about that a little later on about how it's going to be a business model. But Dr. Wood, I got on a tangent. If they're over at Speak and Sell Bootcamp, I want them to be there. But I want them to hear why we're starting off at the very beginning with a signature talk. What is a signature talk? And then, I got more than one thing I want to talk about. So why do I got to just have one talk? Break it down for me why that's going to be important at Speak and Tell, that they know what it is, how it works, and how they can use it in their business on stage and creating their own stages, which you talk about later.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, first of all, you have to sell something if you're going to have a business that ultimately gains profit. So one of the best ways to position yourself to sell, and Shay gives you all the techniques and the tools of selling and the languaging and the scripting, and that's beautiful. A part of it also, though, is how you show up and how you deliver the message that influences people's decision to buy whatever it is that you're selling. So the two are such a beautiful marriage, to speak and sell. One of the best models that I follow is a one-to-many model instead of a one-to-one model. If I try to grow a six-figure, multi-six-figure, or seven-figure business or beyond, just selling one-to-one, I mean, it would take me a really long time. But for me, even in my own business as a speaker, I've been able to catapult that and get to that seven-figure mark much quicker because I went to a one-to-many model through speaking on stages, whether it was in person, virtual. And it's about having a core message that a specific segment of the audience, they really resonate with that message. So that's why we say, number one, start with a core message that you connect to a signature talk. Sometimes new and emerging speakers, the challenge is they're trying to speak about everything to everybody. And the two things that does is, number one, it confuses you as the speaker, because now you're trying to create a new talk for every speaking engagement you might be invited to. And there's really no real mastery over one specific subject, one specific area of expertise. And people really don't know what to hire you for because you're all over the place as what we call a generalist. That's one of the problems, but also it puts you in a position where it's harder for you to be able to promote yourself and really market what you're doing because you're playing in that broad general space instead of niching down and saying, this is what I am an expert in. This is the thing that I've spent hundreds of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours, perhaps thousands of dollars to be able to master. And that's the thing that I want to deliver to the world. So when you have a signature talk, you become known for that signature talk and delivering it in a way that's unforgettable for the audience. And that's how you actually leverage that to get booked on more stages. So having the signature talk it is not even optional. It is a mandatory part of your business if you really want to have a business model that allows you to be able to drastically increase, or as we sometimes say, 10x getting booked on stages and being able to deliver a message consistently without having to have 15 different presentations.
15 different presentations. And the common theme that you heard through there is it puts you in a position to be able to serve. You might say, Shay, why in the LL Cool J do you keep talking about serve? Why do you keep talking about serve? Why do you keep talking about serve? And I want to say that because Dr. Wood is lining it up, and she's saying, yeah, you got to have the signature talk. And in a moment, I'm going to have her talk about, 2 and 3 modules are kind of blended, which is, wait a minute, Shay, get paid how? You got to get paid? Because I see Dr. Cheryl Wood's getting paid to be on stages. Like, people are writing her a check, and she's getting on stages. And then there's a second part that I understand that she'll be talking about at the Speak and Sell Bootcamp, and this is something that she'll be releasing, which is, but you can get paid other ways as a speaker. You can create your own stages, and I'll let her get into that. You can create your own opportunities, and so there's 2 tracks here, and I'm going to blend those 2 together. But I want you to have a couple of distinctions just down in your notes, and here it is. First of all, selling. Put this in your notes. Selling is the oxygen to any great business in history. I want you to hear it. I want you to know it. I want you to make sure you're clear on that selling is the oxygen for any great business in history. And all roads in your business, they lead to a professional sales conversation, which is another way for you to speak. And I want you to hear that. No, seriously, like all of your social media posts today, they lead to professional sales conversation, right? All of your marketing leads to professional sales conversation. We'll be talking about that. All of your branding leads to professional sales conversation. And so if selling is the only way to bring money in the business, then I want you to put this in your notes. And we'll be talking about selling from a different perspective, but I want you just to have this in your notes, because I believe that this is true, that selling will solve any business problem you have right now. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I got to do a speak and sell boot camp, and I got to get on a plane, or I go to speak and sell boot camp, and it's going to cost me something, I want you to know that you don't have a money problem ever. You got a sales problem. And you don't have a sales problem, you got a service problem. Because selling equals service. Put that down in your notes. Selling equals service. So when you come and we're talking about how to sell, we won't be talking about how to persuade someone. That's not what we're talking about. We won't be talking about how to convince someone. We're not in that business trying to make someone do what they don't want to do. No, ain't no big deal. We're in the business that we understand that selling equals service, selling equals service, selling equals service. Please put that down in your notes. Whether you come to the Speak and Sell Bootcamp, or you're over at speakandsellbootcamp.com or not, hopefully you're over there. You said, well, I got to know what's going on. Let me go to speakandsellbootcamp.com. But you have this distinction. Selling equals service, selling equals service. We're teaching this. Selling equals service, because selling really is about three things. And it's going to come back to you got to speak now. It's going to come back to your story. You can't sell something you don't have. And I'm glad Dr. Wood's talking about what is your signature story? What is your message? You'll get into products. I get that, because you can't sell something you don't have. Okay, let's just be clear. But selling is about three things. Put these in your notes, and I'm coming back to Dr. Woods because I want to talk about, get paid when they pay you. That feels good. But get paid more when you pay yourself. Oh, that feels better, by the way. That feels better. But here it is. Selling is about three things. Selling is about education. So we're going to educate people that there's a problem that exists on the planet, and our company can help them. So all we got to do is go around every single day saying, if you have this problem, it exists whether you work with me or not. So first, selling is about education. So you're going to serve folks and say, look, I understand there's a problem on the planet. Number two, selling is about leading. And selling about leading means that now I've got to educate people on how I solve the problem. Here's how I solve the problem. Whether you work with me or not, maybe speakandsellbootcamp.com is not for everybody. I'm okay with that. We're going to still eat. You can follow. So we're going to still eat, and we're going to still be able to live on this planet. And I'm sure Dr. Wood and their family are going to do very, very well whether they come to speakandsellbootcamp.com or not, because it's not for everybody else. But here's what we do know. We're going to be there solving a very serious problem, because selling is serious business. It's the option in a great business. And speaking is serious business. So you don't have a money problem. I got to do it scared. No. You don't have a money problem. You got a sales problem. Never a money problem. And third, so selling is about education. Selling is about leading. Here's the problem. Here's how I solve it. With or without you, Dr. Wood. If it's just she and I there, we're going to help somebody that shows up. That's the promise. If you have to Speak and Sell Bootcamp, whether it's just me, you, and Dr. Wood, hopefully you might have something like that. We're going to help you. Right. Third, selling is about moving people to action. At least asking. Now, Dr. Wood and I, we're not telling stories here. We can tell stories of clients and folks that found themselves in a situation where they didn't have a problem getting on the stage. They weren't asking anybody to be on the stage. Isn't that kind of funny? They're like sitting at home waiting for someone to, hopefully the phone rings, and they're like, well, no one's asked me to be on the stage. Well, did you call anyone else? She talks about hunting. That's the topic for another story. Did you even call anyone and says, hey, would you like to have me on your stage? Here's the value that I bring. Here's how I can serve. Yeah, no, maybe not. So some of you just got to make more offers. You got to help more people. So, Dr. Will, I was on a rant there, but I wanted them to understand that this Speak and Sell Bootcamp, what makes it unique and different from other boot camps you may have ever been about, is we're there to serve. We believe in a giver's economy. The person outgives the competition, out earns the competition. So we're coming to serve you in a place that solves a problem. That's what makes us different. What makes us better than everyone else is that we're currently doing it. So we didn't just write a book about it, didn't just get a PhD about it, didn't just come from the chocolate factory somewhere, didn't just come from an event and show up and say, hey, we just showed up and we want to tell you something we learned, and that works. I just read a book. It works. No. we're still in the field. And that's why I'm partnering with Dr. Wood. She has her sleeves rolled up. No, she still makes phone calls. Some of you still get a post from her. Some of you still get a note from her. So she's still in the field actually doing it. And I'm in the field every single day as well, helping people generate the revenue that's necessary to execute the vision they have for the people they were called to serve. Because that vision can't be implemented without cash flow for many cases, unless you want to be a nonprofit. And nonprofit don't mean no profit. Holla at your boy. All right, Dr. Wood, I was on a rant. Come back and let me bring back. I know it's about getting how to speak, how to get on stages, and how to get paid. Take a moment and just delineate, because 2 modules are all geared around getting paid and then creating your own space to do that. Talk about that for a few minutes. And then if you ever speak and sell boot camp, you can read the details.
Yeah. So I have a philosophy for speaking, and my philosophy and belief is every speaking engagement is a paid speaking engagement if you're intentional and you're strategic about it. So for me, I'm not as concerned with who's writing me the check as long as I am getting my check, as long as I'm getting my fee. And what that looks like is sometimes the organization that's hiring you, they might be the people who are writing you the check. But at times there are organizations that really want you to come in and speak to their audience, and they don't have the budget, or they have a very nominal budget that does not meet your speaker fee. And what happens a lot of times with new and emerging speakers or aspiring speakers is they automatically say no because they feel like, oh, they're going to diminish themselves or their value as a speaker if they accept a speaking engagement and the company can't pay them. And my philosophy is just the opposite. Immediately, if an organization feels that I'm going to add value and they've gone and they've done their research and they've looked at my YouTube channel or looked at my speaker reel or whatever it might be, my speaker one sheet, my media kit, and they really want me and we have this conversation and there's a synergy, I never want money to be the only reason we can't work together. So it's really my job, my responsibility as a speaker to, number one, utilize my communication skills to influence their decisions about finding alternative ways that we can still afford to bring me in so that I can earn my fee, because there should always be a win-win. You should never go into an organization and you're adding great value but not getting any value. So it doesn't mean that you can't gain value and you cannot monetize the event even if the company doesn't have the budget. But that's just about negotiations. So we can talk about that. We will talk about that at the boot camp. We'll talk about what are the negotiating tactics and techniques that you can utilize as a speaker that will still get you paid your full speaker fee. That's huge. For some of you, that will shift the complete trajectory of your speaker business. And so we're going to pour into you as it relates to that. But we're also going to talk to you about being able to monetize on the opposite end of that by creating your own stages. Oftentimes, new and emerging and aspiring speakers are, like you said, they're waiting by the phone. Oh, I'm waiting for somebody to call me. And there's a quote I live by: you never get what you deserve, you only get what you demand. So it is about hunting and demanding that the world hear your message and understand its value. And so you have to sometimes be the person who's at the front of that line. Like, no one else is going to be an advocate for you the way you're going to be an advocate for yourself and your message or your movement or this momentum that you're creating around your speaking. So we also are going to take a deep dive into what that looks like. What are the full ramifications of hosting your own events, whether it's virtual or whether it is an in-person event? And for myself, my own perspective, my company, we've had great success doing both. So we've done our SpeakerCon event. We've done that as a live event. That is always about a $500,000 event that we're able to generate. So of course, we're going to continue hosting that event. But even when we bumped into this pandemic and COVID, and for 2 years we're shut down, we didn't not host the conference. We still hosted the conference. We still got our message out there. We were still committed to serving and helping transform other people's lives by helping them to master the art of public speaking so that they could have greater influence, so that they can help transform other people's lives. We just took it virtual. But even with your virtual, there is a strategy. And we were able to, in our year before last, in our virtual conference, we still closed over $400,000 in sales from a virtual conference. So do not get caught up in the mindset that, oh, if somebody doesn't hire me and pay me, that I can't cross my 6-figure goal or my 7-figure goal. No, there are other options. There are other ways. So those are just two. paid speaking, or what we call speak for hire, is just one where the organization does pay you. Number two, creating your own stages. But there are at least 5 other ways that you can maximize your message on more of a global platform and generate great profits while you're impacting lives. I always call it, I say, you get to make millions while you're impacting the lives of millions.
I love it. We're coming down home stretch. We got on a rant, and I love what you said there, Cheryl. And for those, Dr. Wood, for those folks that are saying, I like that, Shay. I like what I'm hearing. I didn't get the website. Where do I go so I can be a part of this, or at least get the details? I got to make plans. I've got a family. You can go over to www.speakandsell, bootcamp.com. Let me say that again, just so you make sure you have it. Speak and Sell bootcamp.com. It's a boot camp for a reason, because it's not just talking heads. It's you getting a chance to do the part that you need to be done while it's there. You can see all the details there. There's another module that's sales and mastery, and I'm going to sum it up in about 90 seconds here. And then I want Dr. Wood, as we come down the home stretch before you get to the closing comments, to talk a little bit about why it's still so important to be able, and this is going to happen at the boot camp. It's still so important to be able to have role plans. It's still so important sometimes to be able to get up and have someone give you a little feedback, because maybe in a minute or 2 or 3, she can tell you why that's important, and why even at this boot camp, there'll be some of that interaction or some opportunities for individuals that might be able to share something and get direct feedback real time. And that's invaluable. I would say anything, I would say it's priceless. Because think about when the last time you've been in a setting that's real, you're able to share something new, or share part of your story, or share what you're doing. There's someone at Dr. Cheryl Wood's level is able to look at it from a different view of the world and take something that's already maybe awesome, maybe it's great, maybe it's super terrific, and then make it amazing, make it more impactful, make it have more meaning, and then put a little more money in your pocket. I mean, that's not a bad deal, is it? And so I want to talk about why that's still even relevant and still important in today's world. The sales and mastery part, and here's my 90 seconds to sum it up. Because I know for some of you are thinking, Jay, all this is great. All this sounds good. But I have one challenge. It's probably the number one challenge facing entrepreneurs is I got to find people that even can afford me, or even interested, even out there. And that's what the sales and marketing mastery is about. Dr. Woods said it already brilliantly in so many different ways, but it's an opportunity for you to attract and learn lead generation strategies that attract high-paying clients to you. So we'll be talking about lead generation or prospecting, which is the heart and soul of any business, right? It's the heart and soul. They're always looking for new customers, repeat customers, or folks who don't know who they are. I always say folks you already in your database, they're going to help you have an amazing life. You're going to take some great vacations. But it's all the strangers that we don't know today, I believe, is going to make us very wealthy. And so how do you get in front of those strangers and make you what? Wealthy. And so we'll talk about that. And then the marketing side, we'll go into details, because you got to be in the market, and that's the message that she talks about, to be able to sell. So you can do a couple of things. Jot these 3 things down in your notes so you know what the outcome of sales and marketing mastery is about. It's about filling your programs. It's about selling your products. And more importantly, what Dr. Wood said, and I'm going to sum it up in 3 words, it's about scaling your business. That means I take what I'm doing. I may not add anything new, but I do optimization. Optimization means I take what I'm doing and I do it better. And doing it better, I'm able to scale it. I'm not doing much new stuff this year, but we're going to do a lot of things better, smarter, easier, with technology, with automation, and through collaborations. That allows us to scale where we are to another level, so we can stop struggling to attract clients and bring in the clients who actually have the money. All right, Cheryl, about Dr. Wood, in about 3 or 4 minutes, just take a minute or 2 and just talk about the importance of why, and you do it still yourself. And I think you've agreed that you're going to maybe do with the time we have, a few folks, that you're still able to give real-time feedback to folks that are doing it in that moment, that they can go take and use on their very next conversation, on their very next stage. And as a result, they have massive success. Why is that even still important? I call it role playing, but that's probably a 1980s term, but it still works, right? I mean, it's still relevant. I was talking to my son the other day, and I said, man, bell bottoms are back. He said, no, Dad, those are flares. What do you mean flares? Flare.
They just put a different name to it. Same thing.
That is a bell bottom. I promise you. Go Google bell bottoms. No, it's a flare. They flare out now, Dad. Oh, really? Okay.
I love it.
So I don't know if it's, I don't know if, I'm afraid I'm gonna make to you, but you're gonna get some feedback there, okay? Don't call it role playing. I don't know what the new term is, but it's role playing to me. Take it away, Dr. Wood. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that is, like you mentioned, it's priceless to be able to deliver some portion of your presentation live and in person in front of an expert who's been doing this for 12 years and has amassed such a following and community, but also massive success as it relates to the impact I've been able to make locally, but also abroad, and also even in my finances. And I want to teach you what that looks like and how did I get there. And a big part of that is through certain parts of my presentations being tweaked, just little things. Sometimes it's not a huge thing. I think about someone who might be trying to bake a cake and they're following a recipe, and for some reason it just doesn't seem like it's coming out right. And they're like, well, I'm following what it's saying to do. And then, grandmama who gave them the recipe comes over and says, well, go through the process. And the person's going through the process. And in the middle of the process, realizes, oh, baby, that's because you're putting the dry ingredients in too quick. You're supposed to put this ingredient in before you put that ingredient. And it could be something that small that impacts the entire recipe. Well, that's what we're doing for you as a part of the Speak and Sell Bootcamp. Is we're going to help you get to a space where you have not only the recipe, but you know exactly what ingredients to put in at what time, at what moments, so that when it comes out, it's a beautiful end product that really does make the impact and the influence on the audience that you want it to make. And there's typically two reasons why we want to have a presentation tweaked and someone who is a credible expert to really pay attention to it, because we're either not moving the audience into some type of action, we're not getting the response that we want from the audience, or we're not converting people. And that has to do with, yes, selling, but also has to do with your presentation skills. So there is nothing more priceless than you being able to get that real time, on hand, on site feedback, so that you can just perhaps tweak little things that will allow your presentation to be that much more unforgettable. When you are unforgettable, what that means is people aren't just thinking about what you're saying during your 40-minute keynote or your 50-minute keynote or whatever the time frame that you have allotted. It's 45 days after your keynote, they're still thinking about something that you said. Maybe even 6 months later, they're still thinking about how you impacted them through the power of words. Ralph Emerson has this beautiful quote. He says, speech is power. It's the power to persuade, to convert, and to compel. So are you delivering that type of presentation where you're able to persuade people to try a certain way because you know the end result that it's going to get them? You know that it's going to get them to a space where they don't have to stay stuck in pain. They're able to create whatever desire they have. Are you able to articulate a message that is compelling and captivating, because people want to feel like they are experiencing almost a Broadway show when they're hearing you speak? Like, that is the best way that I can explain it as it relates to a powerful presentation that becomes unforgettable. It gives people a range of emotions. It takes them into deep thought. But the most important piece is that there is a connection that's made, some level of a heart-to-heart connection where the people in the audience are saying, oh my God, that's me. She's talking to me, or he's talking to me. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to get that result. I want that thing that you're talking about. And then to be able to help them to be able to transition to the other side of the thing that they don't have yet, but are so desiring. That's what having your presentation just tweaked a little bit can do for you. It can take you from not having that type of impact to having that lasting impact.
I love it. We're down the home stretch, ladies. Two things I want to do. We're done. One is, if you haven't already gone over to speakandsellbootcamp.com, I know I've said that a couple of times because it's something that we believe in. We can always make more money, as they say, but you can't make more time. And I know I'm getting up some of my great time, and I know Dr. Wood as well, not only to be there for ourselves, but to be there for every single one of you where this is the right time. This is the right moment. You've been looking for something that's hands-on. You've been looking for something that you can walk away with the tools, the techniques, the resources, and the capabilities to be able to go do it yourself. Isn't that kind of cool? Then you might get support and assistance along the way, but you will have the capabilities. That's the promise when you walk away to do some things that you couldn't do before you showed up. And I believe it'll be probably one of the most, I'll say, profitable investments you're going to make this year in your business. Dr. Woods, we close out, just like for you to just to share whatever's on your heart. There's some folks out there I know that might be thinking, not that they're scared, but they're like, okay, should I spend my time there? I've got to, find someone to take care of my pet. If they're in a relationship like me that's married or have a husband or a wife or a significant other, they got to make some arrangements. Other folks are like you and me, they're parents, so they might have to make some arrangement with the kids. And then others have to adjust their schedule and catch a plane and then get there and then come to the airport. And, there's some adjustments around their life that they have to do to be there. And that's important. And then there's another group of folks that are just ready and like, okay, if Dr. Wood said, hey, here's the number one reason I should do this. This is the number one reason I should do this. What is it? Not you personally, but the type of person that is serious, that's motivated, that's interested, and that's ready to have more meaning in the world. The money's going to come, more impact in the world. The income's going to come, and ready to make a dollar and a difference at the same time is out there. Those are the folks that we really want there, whether you're very green or very seasoned. The one thing I believe, and you can jot this down in your notes, is that you never stop learning. When the question is asked, when do you stop learning? The obvious answer is you never stop learning, because once you learn something, you never unlearn it. And so you're going to walk away with some things you're going to learn there. And that's important. We never stop learning. So Dr. Wood, I'm turning over to you and then I'll close out after you. But what are your final thoughts? The person's working. I'm looking forward to being there with you. We'll be there in person, I understand. So we'll have eye-to-eye contact with a number of you. And that type of human connection will never go away, at least during my lifetime. I love virtual stuff like we're doing right now. This is cool. This is cool. I love it. But it's nothing like just being there and having eye-to-eye contact. Over to you, Dr. Wood.
I absolutely agree. There is nothing like the in-person experience to be able to hug each other and, be in that space where you're able to consume the content right there up close and personal. I know for me, a big part of the shifting of my life and my journey and my business has been being in the space in person with my mentors and my coaches and people who are already 30 to 40 steps ahead of where I want it to be. The virtual training is fine. It's great. It's a great place to start, but I didn't want to stay there. I wanted to be in the space with their energy, to be able to pick up on that energy, to be able to look at them in their eyes as they're expressing whatever it is that they're teaching me. Like, it's just a different experience. I even remember when I first started speaking, I had been following some work that Tony Robbins did for a while. And I will never forget how excited I was to pay all of this money that I was paying to go and see him in person up in New Jersey. I'm in Maryland, so I was traveling. I took the train up. It was in a blizzard, I promise you. But I was not, if they didn't cancel, I wasn't canceling. That's how bad I wanted to be in this space. In fact, let me just throw this in as a teaching point as we wrap up. Experiencing people who are already where you want to be is one of the 5 modalities of learning that you have to know as a speaker. It is one of the top 5 modalities, experiencing the mentor or the coach or the trainer or the expert. And experiences are created when you come offline and you come in person in that space. And the frequency is just the right frequency. There's a synergy that you get and an energy that's infectious that happens in person that simply just isn't at the same level through virtual. So you owe it to yourself to be in the space with an expert who has done speaking for 12 years and has started at the bottom and grown a 7-figure business, headed to multi-7 figures and ultimately 8 figures, and a sales guru. Shay and I have been connected for, I swear, I think it's been like the entire almost 12 years that I've been doing what I'm doing. Yeah. I remember you doing your sessions, your selling sessions in the Wegmans.
Oh, man, I need to tell that story one day. Woo.
We've come a long way, but we haven't come a long way just because we hoped for it or we wished for it or, we wanted it or we went to vision board parties. No, we've come this far and experienced this massive growth because we've aligned ourselves directly with people who had the information that we needed so that we could make the tweaks, we could shift things, we could pivot, we could avoid some of the pitfalls that they fell into, we could get access to the strategies and the techniques that they implemented and the tools and resources that they had access to, because we were willing to invest in ourselves and then do whatever it took to be in the space. So there's no time for excuses. There is no time better than the present. You've got to at some point get to the space where you ask yourself, when is it going to be the right time? You can play the when then game all you want. Well, when this happens, then when I get some more money, then I'll sign up. When I get a babysitter, when I get a dog sitter, it's always going to be something in life that has the potential to prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. The question is, when are you going to get tired of giving the excuses, of preventing yourself from becoming the best version of you, of getting exactly what you want in your business through speaking and selling as one of the revenue streams, speaking primarily one of the revenue streams of being able to get to the sales projections and the profits that you desire? When is enough going to be enough as it relates to excuses? So I am challenging you to get out of your own way. I'm challenging you not to allow it to be okay anymore for you to give yourself some mediocre excuses about why you're not going to be at the Speak and Sell Bootcamp with myself and Shay. This is your time. And unfortunately, the way life works is that all of us will have a transition date. And none of us know when that transition date is going to happen. And that's not to be morbid. It's not to try to scare you. It's just to speak truth. I know, because I've experienced it firsthand in my own family, very close and personal, that tomorrow is not promised. And so the question becomes, have you done the things that your spirit craves today? Are you positioning yourself to be able to pour into the world based on everything that you know and you experienced in your life story so that your fingerprint is never forgotten? Are you doing that with intentionality? If you're not, this is one of the opportunities for you to step into the fullness of who you know you are destined to be. I promise you there's somebody, Shay, who's listening and watching, and there's a pulling on their spirit, and there's something that's tapping them on their shoulder, and they know they're supposed to be sharing their story, and they know they're supposed to be tapping into their untapped potential, and they know that they've been through some things in life that they thought that they weren't going to make it through. But wow, look at them now. They are still here, and they pressed through that thing that was meant to break them, which means they have a significant story and some expert knowledge to share, but maybe they just don't know how to craft it. Maybe they're not sure about the framework of being able to develop their story. They're not sure which story to pick. There's so many pieces of being able to take everything that you know and all of your experiences and all of your stories and your highs and your lows, your peaks and your valleys, and turning it into powerful takeaways for someone else. Your story is about you, but it ain't for you. There's something about being able to take everything you've been through, that you pressed through, that you made it through, and making it bigger than you, that will give you a level of life fulfillment that you have never experienced before. And every individual, every person on the planet deserves to experience that level of fulfillment. That only happens when you get out of your own way, you eliminate excuses, you show up in the spaces, you invest in yourself because you know that you're good soil to sow into, and you do everything in your power to be a servant leader who lifts as you climb by teaching other people what you've already learned in life so that their life can be that much more happy, joyful, and fulfilling. That's why you need to be in the space. So I will see you there.
Speakandsellbootcamp.com. You can join us over at speakandsellbootcamp.com. Dr. Wood, I'm looking forward to seeing you there, connecting with you and connecting with all those folks that are out there, all of our impactpreneurs, all of our purpose-driven preneurs, all of our seasoned entrepreneurs, and those folks that are like myself and like Dr. Wood. You get up every single day, you take care of your family, you pay your taxes, and then you go make an impact in the world so you can impact humanity. And isn't that what life is all about? You've been blessed with a gift. You've been blessed with a talent. You've been blessed with that so you can be a blessing to someone else and now be a part of something, because success is a team sport. We can come together with a team, and in that team create the greater synergy and success you need to prepare for it. Looking forward to connecting with you. I'll just leave you with one idea. because you really only need one idea to change your life. And Dr. Woods give you so many other ideas. So I'll come and give you the sales view of the world. How's that? The sales view of the world. And because what's going to be different at the Speak and Sell Bootcamp is that maybe for 100 years, like me, you were taught that, in order to sell, you got to help people, get out of a pain, eliminate a pain. Tony Robbins and so many of my mentors teach that, and that's true. Or maybe you had to help them have more pleasure. So eliminate a pain, elevate their pleasure. Eliminate a pain, elevate their pleasure. And while that was important, I'm part of the Puff Daddy generation, by the way. I got my AARP card, so I got remix versions. Remix version on everything. Let me give you the Shay Brown remix version in this new age. It's this paradigm shift that I'm creating around selling the service. Dr. Woods is creating around being able to be a paid speaker that impacts the world, right? She's changing the industry. We're changing the industry. And here it is. And I want you to write this in your notes because this is stuff that you'll find when you come to the Speak and Sell Bootcamp is you'll get the new way of doing things, the new age, the new perspectives that have more meaning and greater purpose in the world. And here it is. People will pay you, put this in your notes, pay you for two things. These are the two P's. They'll pay you for your perspective. Put that in your notes. Forget the pain, forget the pleasure. What is your perspective? And that's why I connected with Dr. Woods, because when she's helping you understand your story and then your message is really your perspective, and they can only get your perspective from you. If they want to learn something, they go to Google, right? You can go to Google and learn something, but they get your perspective on how to do it. That's important. And number two, they pay for the possibility. And I'm telling you, the possibilities when you show up, and Dr. Woods had this thing. I love this conference. I don't know if she's going to bring it back again, called Unlimited Possibilities. But they pay for the possibilities of how their life and business can change. And that's what's going to happen in the Speak and Sell Bootcamp. The possibilities are there. The reality is there. And if you just do the work, you'll get the results. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Woods. Thank you all for watching. Go over to www.speakandsellbootcamp.com. Again, speakandsellbootcamp.com. With that being said, that's Dr. Cheryl Wood. My name is Shay Brown. Make it a great day, everybody. And we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Bye, Dr. Wood. Peace to everyone that's out there, and keep doing God's work. We out. Peace.